Ethan Cole had always felt out of place on Earth. While others worried about office work, politics, or social status, he looked at the stars and wondered what was beyond them. His curiosity had led him to join the Interstellar Exploration Corps, a small human group daring to explore beyond the solar system. Earth had barely begun sending humans into nearby star systems, but Ethan had already seen alien landscapes, strange creatures, and worlds that seemed impossible. Still, nothing had prepared him for the invitation that arrived one quiet morning. The message came in a sealed digital envelope, sent through channels humans barely understood. It bore the seal of Queen Lithera, ruler of one of the most powerful empires in the known galaxy. Ethan stared at the words in disbelief. "Human Ethan Cole, you are requested at the court of Queen Lithera. Your presence is required to discuss matters of great importance. Travel arrangements will be provided." He read it twice. The queen of a galactic empire wanted to meet him, a human, a single explorer from a small, barely known planet. He laughed quietly, thinking it must be a trick or a mistake. But the technology behind the message was far beyond anything Earth had. Someone or something had noticed him. Within hours, Ethan found himself in a transport ship faster than any human craft. It moved through space like a fish swimming through water, bending light around it, leaving a faint glow in its wake. As he watched planets and stars blur past, he felt a strange mix of excitement and fear. What could the Queen want with me? He wondered. The ship docked on a massive station orbiting a world Ethan would later learn was called Lithera Prime. The station itself looked like a floating city, with spires that reached into space and lights that shimmered like stars. Strange shapes moved along its corridors, creatures of all sizes, colors, and forms. Some had 4 arms, others had wings or scales, yet all moved with purpose and confidence. A tall figure approached Ethan, dressed in shimmering robes that seemed to change color depending on the angle of the light. The being spoke in perfect galactic common, the lingua franca of the Empire. "Welcome, human Ethan Cole. I am Valen, the Queen's aide. Follow me." Ethan followed through winding corridors that seemed to stretch forever. Everywhere he looked, alien technology hummed with life. Floating displays, holographic maps, devices that seemed alive. He felt like he had stepped into a dream. Finally, they reached a large chamber. At the far end sat Queen Lithera. She was taller than most humans. Her skin had a subtle silver glow and her eyes seemed to see right through him. She wore a robe of deep violet, decorated with patterns that shifted like liquid. A faint aura of power surrounded her, and Ethan felt his chest tighten under its weight. "Human," she said, her voice smooth but commanding. "You have been observed. Your actions, your courage, your ingenuity, they have drawn my attention. I offer you a choice." Ethan swallowed. He had expected formalities, perhaps a request for information, but this was different. "A choice?" he asked cautiously. Lithera's eyes sparkled. "Yes, any girl you desire from my empire you may have. But know this, such a choice is not simple. It will test your judgment, your values, and your humanity." Ethan froze. He had heard stories of alien rulers offering humans gifts, but nothing like this. The weight of the words pressed on him. He realized immediately that accepting could pull him into politics, rivalries, and responsibilities far beyond anything he had faced. "Why me?" he asked finally. "There are millions of humans, billions of beings in your empire. Why choose a single explorer from Earth?" Lithera smiled faintly. "Humans are unpredictable, resourceful, capable of seeing solutions that other species overlook. You have potential, Ethan Cole. That is why I am interested." Ethan looked down at his hands. He had always thought humans were ordinary, fragile compared to alien civilizations. And yet this powerful queen considered him remarkable. Pride and fear mingled in his chest. I don't know if I should accept," he admitted. "I don't even know what this means, or what the cost is." "That is why you must travel," Lithera said. "You will see the Empire. You will meet some of the most extraordinary beings alive. Then, only then, can you make a choice. Your judgment will determine the future, not just for yourself, but perhaps for many others." Valen handed Ethan a small device. "This will guide you. It contains information about the worlds you will visit, the beings you will meet, and the challenges you may face. Travel carefully. Observe everything." Ethan nodded, feeling a mix of awe and anxiety. He realized this journey could change everything he thought he knew about himself, humanity, and the galaxy. Before he could ask more questions, Valen led him to a sleek transport ship waiting in the chamber. It was shaped like a teardrop, with smooth surfaces that reflected starlight. Inside, Ethan found a control panel unlike anything on Earth. Lights and symbols shifted with his movements, responding almost as if the ship knew his thoughts. "This ship will take you to the worlds of the Empire," Valen explained. "Each world is unique. Each will challenge you. Be ready." The doors closed and the ship lifted off. As Lithera Prime shrank behind him, Ethan felt a strange thrill. He was leaving behind everything familiar: Earth, his friends, the simple life he had known. Ahead were alien worlds, advanced civilizations, and perhaps choices that could change the course of history. The first world appeared as a swirling blue and green sphere, larger than any planet he had visited. It was called Voron, a planet of towering forests and massive cities built into mountains. The inhabitants were a mix of winged and aquatic species, moving with grace and intelligence. Ethan stepped onto the surface, feeling the subtle difference in gravity and the alien sense in the air. He watched as the local beings approached, curious but cautious. He smiled, remembering something his father once told him. "Human beings survive where others fail because we never give up, even when the odds are against us." As he moved among the Vorinians, he realized just how small humans seemed in comparison, but also how unique they were. Their technology might be primitive, their size average, but humans had creativity, courage, and adaptability that even advanced aliens struggled to predict. By the end of the day, Ethan had seen wonders: machines that seemed alive, plants that could communicate chemically, and cities that floated in midair. Yet through it all, a single thought returned to him: the Queen's offer. Any girl he wanted, but which one? And what would accepting truly mean? As night fell, Ethan looked up at the two moons of Voron, their pale light casting shadows across the alien landscape. He knew this was only the beginning. The Queen had given him a gift or a challenge, and the choices ahead would test not just his desire, but his heart, mind, and humanity itself. He sat quietly thinking, humans are underestimated. Maybe it's time they weren't. And somewhere far above, Queen Lithera watched through her sensors, smiling faintly. A human had arrived and the game had begun. Ethan Cole woke early on Voron, feeling a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. Today he would meet more of the Empire the Queen had promised. He still thought about Lithera's words: "Any girl you desire from my empire, but at a cost." The weight of that choice pressed on him, though he had yet to meet anyone. Valine, the Queen's aide, awaited him outside the transport. "Good morning, human," Valine said. "Today you will see more worlds. Each will teach you something about our empire and about yourself." Ethan nodded. He felt like a small fish in a vast ocean of stars. Yet there was a strange pride in being chosen. Humans were unpredictable, and apparently unpredictable in a good way. The first stop was Dravorn, a desert world with floating cities and towers carved from crimson stone. Ethan stepped onto the landing platform, squinting in the bright sun. The air was warm and sandstorms swept across the vast dunes, yet the cities floated above the ground, connected by shimmering energy bridges. "Dravorn is home to warriors and strategists," Valine explained. "Strength, honor, and loyalty are prized here." Ethan followed Valine through the city streets, noticing the Dravornians. They were tall, muscular, with skin that shimmered faintly like copper. Their eyes were sharp, intelligent, and filled with caution. Children ran freely, playing with devices that hovered and spun, their laughter echoing through the air. A young woman approached, her movements fluid and confident. She was dressed in light armor and carried a small energy blade at her side. "Greetings, human," she said. "I am Liara. You come from a small planet, yet the Queen has brought you here." "Why?" Ethan smiled, bowing slightly. I don't know yet. I'm here to learn, to understand your world." Liara studied him with keen eyes. "Humans are strange, unpredictable. But you are bold. That counts for something." He realized that each world he visited would test him, but not only in skill. It would test his perception, his judgment, and his ability to connect with others. Humans were outsiders here, yet outsiders often saw truths that natives missed. After leaving Dravorn, Ethan's journey continued to Solara, a planet covered in crystal forests that glowed softly under twin suns. Here, intelligence and diplomacy were prized above strength. Solarians had delicate, translucent wings and eyes that reflected light like gems. Here you will meet scholars, diplomats, and inventors, Valen said. You will see skills far beyond what humans currently possess. Ethan walked through the Crystal City, amazed at how the light bent and Ethan Cole had traveled across worlds he could hardly have imagined. He had seen cities that floated in the sky, forests made of crystals, and oceans that shimmered with living light. He had met Liara, Sarah, and Maris, three extraordinary beings whose skills and intelligence far surpassed anything humans had ever seen. Yet the Queen's offer remained heavy on his mind. Any girl he desired from the Empire, but at what cost? This morning he awoke on Solara, the crystal forest planet where the air was cool and the light danced through the tall, glittering trees. Valen awaited him, expression unreadable. Today, human, you will face the test of temptation, Valen said. All who wish to sway your choice will try in their own way. Observe carefully. Judge wisely. Ethan nodded, his stomach tightening. He had expected challenges, but not this subtle, delicate kind. He had thought of physical trials, riddles, or battles. Now he realized that politics, persuasion, and influence could be just as dangerous. Their first stop was a grand palace perched atop the tallest crystal trees. Inside, alien courtiers awaited, each eager to gain favor. They were radiant, their forms shimmering with colors Ethan had no names for. Their voices were polite but pointed, designed to make him feel inadequate or impressed. Human, one of the courtiers said. A winged being named Ziril. Surely you cannot choose without understanding the legacy each of us carries. Do you value strength, wisdom, or loyalty? Ethan frowned. He realized immediately that this was not a question about desire. It was a test of judgment. Choosing for the wrong reason could alienate entire worlds. His choice would not only affect him personally, but could shift alliances and balance of power. Later, he walked among the gardens with Liara. She moved with confidence, her energy blade resting lightly at her side. Her gaze was steady and she spoke with direct honesty. Human, she said quietly. You must see beyond beauty or skill. A leader's choice is about trust and vision, not temptation. Are you ready for that? Ethan nodded. He had already seen the subtle dangers of this empire, the whispered politics, the quiet rivalries. He realized that the Queen's test was as much about character as it was about courage or cleverness. Next, Sarah approached him in the city's council hall. Holographic displays hovered in the air around her, showing simulations of diplomacy, trade, and conflict. Human, Sarah said. Some will try to sway your choice with power, wealth, or knowledge. Do not be fooled. Sometimes the correct choice is not the most obvious one. Watch, listen, and think carefully. Ethan studied her closely. Sarah was calm, patient, and thoughtful. He admired her intelligence and precision. Humans often relied on improvisation, intuition, and emotion, but here, logic and strategy dominated. He realized that combining both could give him an edge, a uniquely human approach. By midday, Ethan was exhausted. The subtle pressures of alien society were heavier than any physical trial he had faced. He had to consider not just what he wanted, but what was right. For him, for the candidates, and for the Empire. Valen guided him to a high balcony overlooking the city, where Maris waited. Her eyes shimmered like pearls and her movements were calm, almost serene. Human, she said softly, I have seen how you observe, how you weigh choices. But remember, temptation is more than desire. It is influence, fear, and hope. One decision can affect many lives. You must decide carefully. Ethan realized Maris was correct. Each potential companion brought not only personal qualities, but also alliances, political influence, and loyalty from entire worlds. A wrong choice could spark conflicts, resentment, or worse. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the crystal forests of Solara glowed faintly. Ethan sat quietly, reflecting on what he had learned. He had discovered that aliens valued more than physical ability. They prized judgment, patience, and subtle understanding. Humans were underestimated because they relied on emotion and intuition, yet these qualities allowed them to see angles others missed. The next day, Ethan faced the first formal challenge of the temptation test. He was led to a council chamber where representatives from several worlds gathered. They presented him with scenarios, resource disputes, strategic conflicts, and moral dilemmas. Each choice carried weight, affecting entire planets and communities. Human, Valen said, your decisions here will show not only your character, but the potential of humanity itself. Think carefully. The first scenario involved a dispute over water rights on Krylon. Two settlements depended on the same river system, and tensions were rising. Ethan had only minutes to decide how to mediate. He thought of the human way: communication, compromise, and empathy. He suggested a shared system of water distribution, with each settlement contributing to its maintenance. The aliens were surprised. Most species in the Empire would have chosen one settlement over the other, asserting control or power. Ethan's solution preserved peace and demonstrated fairness. The next scenario involved a military threat on Dravorn. One faction planned to attack another over honor disputes. Ethan considered brute strength but remembered Liara's advice. Using strategy and clever planning, he proposed a diversion combined with negotiations. The attack was prevented without bloodshed. Again, the aliens were impressed. Finally, he faced a test of trust. A Solarian diplomat had been accused of spying. Most humans would have relied on evidence alone, yet Ethan sensed the subtle truth. The accusation was false. He advocated for an investigation before action, showing restraint and careful judgment. By the end of the day, Ethan realized the weight of the Queen's offer had become clearer. It was not a simple choice of desire. It was a test of leadership, morality, and human ingenuity. Every decision he made reflected not just himself, but his species. That evening, he returned to Solara's crystal forests, exhausted but thoughtful. Liara, Sarah, and Maris joined him, their presence calm and supportive. "You think too much, human," Liara said gently. "But thinking is necessary. The Queen does not offer gifts lightly. She tests, and you show promise." "I am not sure I deserve this," Ethan admitted. "Humans are small compared to your worlds. We are fragile, slow to learn, yet somehow I survived your tests." Sarah smiled. "Humans survive because they adapt. You do not rely solely on strength, knowledge, or skill. You rely on creativity and heart. That is something even the most advanced alien species cannot always predict." Maris nodded. "Remember this, human. Temptation will come in many forms. Power, beauty, wealth, loyalty, they can all sway you. But the Queen's true test is your judgment. What will you choose when the moment comes?" Ethan felt the weight of her words. He realized he was learning more than just how to choose a companion. He was learning how to think like a leader, how to weigh options for the greater good, and how to see beyond personal desire. As night fell, the crystal forest shimmered under the light of two moons. Ethan sat quietly, gazing at the stars above Solara. He thought of Earth, his small blue home, and of humans who had never imagined traveling so far. Yet here he was, standing among the greatest minds, warriors, and leaders of a vast empire, and he realized that humans, underestimated though they were, had one thing that could never be measured: courage, creativity, and a heart that could surprise even the most advanced beings. Tomorrow, the Queen would present the final stages of the test. Ethan knew temptation would intensify, and the stakes would grow higher. But he felt ready in a way. He was a human, and humans thrived where others failed. He looked at Liara, Sarah, and Maris, knowing that soon a choice would have to be made. Yet he also understood something deeper. The Queen's offer was not about which girl he desired most. It was about showing the Empire what humans were truly capable of. And somewhere far above, Queen Lithera watched through her sensors, her eyes glimmering with anticipation. A human had entered her empire, faced temptation, and shown promise. Now the real challenge was approaching, and the game was far from over. Ethan closed his eyes, feeling the weight of possibility pressing upon him. The galaxy was vast, the Empire powerful, but humans were clever, daring, and unpredictable, and that unpredictability might just change everything. The Queen's flagship drifted through the silent black of space, its silver hull reflecting the light of distant stars. Ethan Cole sat inside one of the grand chambers, waiting for what would come next. He had already passed two strange tests, the test of temptation and the test of courage. Now a new challenge awaited him, one that would not test his heart but his mind. Liara, Sarah, and Maris stood with him. Each of them had been present during his journey, each offering wisdom in her own way. But today it was different. Today the Queen herself had summoned him. The doors to the chamber opened and Queen Lithera entered with her graceful stride. Her robes flowed like liquid light, and her presence silenced the entire room. Her eyes rested on Ethan, calm yet piercing. "Human," she said, You have shown strength of will and courage of heart. But strength without wisdom is dangerous. Courage without thought leads to ruin. Now you will face the test of strategy. If you succeed, the Empire will see that humans are more than reckless dreamers. If you fail, all you have earned so far will crumble. Ethan's jaw tightened, but he met her gaze. What must I do? The Queen gestured to a raised platform in the center of the room. Above it, light shimmered and twisted until it formed a holographic battlefield. Ship's plow. Ethan Cole had traveled across worlds, faced tests of morality, strategy, and courage, and witnessed the marvels of an empire far larger than Earth. He had met Liara, Sarah, and Maris, three extraordinary beings whose skills and character impressed him deeply. Yet now the final moment had arrived. The Queen's offer awaited, any girl you desire from the Empire. But Ethan understood that this was never simply about desire. It was about judgment, responsibility, and humanity. The Queen's flagship hovered above Lithera Prime, its energy shield shimmering against the twin suns. Ethan stepped onto the observation deck, his mind heavy with thought. Valen, Liara, Sarah, and Maris accompanied him. Each had aided him, challenged him, and inspired him in different ways. Choosing one meant not only personal connection but also trust, loyalty, and potential influence across the Empire. Human, Valen said, his tone calm but serious. The moment is here. The Queen's test concludes today. Your decision must reflect your heart, your judgment, and your understanding of what it means to be human. Ethan nodded. His mind raced back over everything he had learned. Liara's courage and boldness, Sarah's intelligence and diplomacy, Maris's wisdom and empathy. Each was extraordinary. But he also realized something deeper. The Queen's offer was never about finding a partner for desire alone. It was about showing the galaxy what humanity was capable of: courage, creativity, morality, and adaptability. The chamber doors opened, and Queen Lithera entered. Her presence filled the room, commanding attention with a calm power. She regarded Ethan with a faint, unreadable smile. "Ethan Cole," she said, her voice clear and strong. "You have seen the Empire, met its greatest minds, and faced its greatest challenges. You have shown courage, ingenuity, and wisdom. Now your choice awaits." Ethan took a deep breath. The choice was his, but it was not simply personal. He looked at Liara first. She was fierce, brave, and direct. Her loyalty and boldness were undeniable. Then he looked at Sarah, calm and thoughtful, a mind capable of navigating the most delicate politics. Finally, Maris, whose gentle wisdom could heal and guide the Empire itself. He thought back to the sabotage on the flagship. His human perspective had saved countless lives. Humans were not the strongest, nor the most technologically advanced, but they were adaptable, creative, and capable of seeing solutions others could not. That same human quality had carried him through every world, every test, every challenge. "I understand now," he said aloud, though the Queen and his companions could hear. "The choice is not only about desire, it is about respect, trust, and the future we can build together." Lithera's eyes flickered with interest, as if encouraging him to continue. Ethan turned to Liara. "You are brave, fierce, and loyal. Any human would feel safe and inspired by your strength. Yet I think your path is not tied to me alone. You have the world to lead, battles to fight, and your courage will guide many." Liara nodded, her expression calm but proud. "Then you honor me, human. That is more than many could do." He looked to Sarah. "Your mind is brilliant, your judgment precise. A partnership with you would be wise, yet I see your potential to guide not only me but entire worlds. Your talents are too vast to be confined." Sarah smiled softly. "Your understanding shows wisdom beyond what I expected, human." Finally, Ethan faced Maris. Her eyes glimmered like pearls, reflecting calm and insight. "You taught me something crucial," he said. "The ability to listen, to guide, to care while still making difficult decisions. I see not only your wisdom but your heart. Together we could face challenges, protect lives, and show what humans and allies can achieve." Maris looked at him, warmth and trust shining in her gaze. "Then your choice is clear. You choose not by desire alone, but by vision and shared purpose. That is rare, human." Lithera stepped closer. "So, human Ethan Cole, whom do you choose?" Ethan drew a deep breath. "I choose Maris." The room went silent. Even the Queen's usual calm shimmered with intrigue. Ethan explained. I choose not because she is the most beautiful or the most skilled. I choose her because together we can face challenges, protect lives, and show the galaxy what humans and humans working with allies can accomplish. Maris stepped forward, nodding. I accept, not out of obligation, but because I believe in the purpose we can achieve together. Liara and Sarah smiled, understanding his choice. It was not a rejection. It was acknowledgement of potential, vision, and respect. Each had their own path, and Ethan's decision honored their strengths while aligning with his understanding of humanity's role. The Queen's smile deepened. Ethan Cole, your judgment is rare among all species. You have proven humans are not only clever, adaptable, and courageous, but capable of wisdom, empathy, and leadership. You have passed my test. Ethan felt a rush of relief and pride. He had survived the trials, navigated temptation, and made a choice that honored both himself and humanity. The weight of the Queen's observation had been heavy, but he had risen to it, not through brute strength or technology, but through the very qualities that made humans unique. Valen approached, nodding. The Queen's offer now stands fulfilled. Your choice will not only define your future, but leave a mark on the Empire. Humans will be seen differently from this day forward. Ethan looked at Maris, then at the stars beyond the observation deck. He realized that humans had come far, from a small blue planet to the heart of a vast empire, and now they were respected, not feared nor dismissed. Humans had the ability to inspire, to act boldly, and to reshape the galaxy in ways aliens could not have imagined. Lithera spoke once more, her voice calm and final. Humanity has been underestimated for too long. Today, one human has shown the galaxy what is possible. You have proven that courage, intelligence, and moral judgment are more powerful than brute strength or technology alone. You have created a legacy. Ethan felt the weight of her words settle in his chest. He had always dreamed of reaching the stars, but he had never imagined that humans could be seen as equals, partners, and leaders among alien civilizations. This was more than personal triumph. It was a victory for humanity. As the flagship prepared to depart for Maris's homeworld, Ethan reflected on the journey. Each world, each challenge, each encounter had taught him something about humans, aliens, and the universe. He had learned that being human meant more than survival. It meant creativity, courage, empathy, and the ability to inspire trust across worlds. Maris stood beside him, calm and strong. The journey is only beginning, Ethan, she said. Together we have much to do and many challenges await, but I believe we can succeed. Ethan nodded. Yes, and perhaps this is only the start of showing the galaxy what humans are truly capable of. As they looked out over the glowing cities of Lithera Prime, Ethan felt a surge of hope and purpose. Humans had arrived in the Empire underestimated no longer. Their ingenuity, courage, and heart had left a mark, one that would be remembered across worlds. Somewhere far above, Queen Lithera watched with a faint, approving smile. Her human had made a choice, not for vanity, desire, or personal gain, but for vision, purpose, and morality. He had passed the ultimate test, proving that humans were clever, resourceful, and capable of greatness. Ethan turned back to Maris, feeling a sense of partnership and trust he had never known. Together they would navigate the Empire, face challenges, and show that humanity's presence in the galaxy was not to be ignored. For the first time, Ethan felt fully confident in one truth. Humans were underestimated. Yes, but that very underestimation was their strength. And now, in the heart of the Empire, humans would leave a legacy that no one could ignore. The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of promise, mystery, and adventure. Ethan knew this was only the beginning, but he was ready. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never forget it. Ethan Cole had spent weeks traveling through the vast reaches of the Empire. He had seen worlds of unimaginable beauty, met beings of extraordinary skill, and faced challenges that tested not just his strength but his judgment and heart. The Queen's offer loomed over him like a distant star, any girl he desired. But now he was beginning to understand that the choice was more than personal. It was a reflection of humanity itself. That morning, Ethan awoke on Dravorn, the desert world of warriors. The city floated above the red sands, held by shimmering energy bridges that glinted under the twin suns. He was still thinking about the subtle lessons of Solara, the test of temptation, of strategy, of judgment. Yet today would teach him something else entirely, the true advantage of being human. Valen awaited him at the transport dock, looking grave. "Human," Valen said. "There is an urgent situation. The Queen's flagship has been sabotaged. Her life and the Empire may be in danger. Your skills will be required." Ethan's stomach tightened. Sabotage in a civilization as vast as this was unheard of. He had been prepared for diplomacy, for tests, for observation, but not for crisis. "What do you need me to do?" he asked. "You will come with me," Valen replied. "The Queen trusts humans because you see solutions others do not. Observe, adapt, and act." The journey to the flagship was tense. Ethan's mind raced as he tried to anticipate what could have gone wrong. When they arrived, the scene was chaos. Engineers and guards rushed through the corridors, alarms blared, and the hum of the ship's systems faltered. Liara, Sarah, and Maris had arrived as well, each reassist.
"Etha,"